Welcome to our webinar, Blueprint for a New Reality. Today we're talking about marketing for a new reality with our guest, Jack Pinsel. I'm sorry. We're gonna start with introductions. Jeff, you want to go ahead?
Hi, this is Jeff Wisniewski, the president and founder of GiddyUp CRM for roofing.
Nathan.
Nathan Higgs from Labor Connect.
Bill.
Bill Hicks with Labor Connect.
And Jason, we're not going to forget you this week.
Jason Sloan with Furtado Law Solutions. We're the first supplement company backed by attorneys, and that's backed by Furtado Law PC.
Cool. All right, Jack, let's hear about you.
So Jack with Hale 911. It's a privilege to be here today. I appreciate you inviting us. We're going to have a good time talking about the different opportunities to market, especially in today's condition, and just excited to kick this off.
Cool. You want to tell us a little bit about your business?
Absolutely. So we've been blessed. We're going on 22 seasons of serving the roofing community, both residential and commercial. We've always had our call centers here in the States. It's such a strong point to be able to market and be able to provide the quality leads that contractors are looking for. There's so much volume in our space today about call centers that aren't meeting expectations. So we really put a lot of emphasis on coaching our agents about quality. It's not about free inspections, but really creating opportunities for our contractors to get in there and have people that are expecting them to be there so that they can get the closing percentages, return of investment that they're looking for.
That's awesome. The way that we're going to do it today is we're going to have the fellas throw some questions at you, if you're okay with that. Bill, do you want to kick it off?
Yeah, for sure. Jack, buddy, thank you so much for coming on. Man, really appreciate it. You know, I've known you many years. You've been doing this and kicking butt around the country. And being that you have, you know, over 22 seasons of experience or 20 years of experience owning a call center within our industry, you know, what changes have you seen?
Well, you know, you and I go way back, Bill, right? So, such dramatic change. If you go back even 7-8 years ago, there were 2 or 3 of us, right? And today, you know, there's probably 15 or 20 plus. And, you know, our friends at Health Trace, they used to come out with a 5-star map. I think they came out with 2 of them today. You'd get a storm in Chicago, and we can let that last for, you know, 2-3 months, providing quality leads, both residential and commercial. Today, you can get a storm in Chicago and, you know, get your 50, 100 leads a day. And literally 3 days later, Bill, you know, you can call a homeowner and they're telling you they've gotten 75 to 100 calls, you know, in the last 2 days.
Right, right.
So,
Jason,
you know.
what about you?
Questions? Yeah. So what can a contractor do to help maximize their success when partnering with the call center, Jack?
Say that one more time, Jason.
What can a contractor do to help maximize their success when partnering with a call center?
That's a great question. So, you know, you get some contractors that have very limited ability to really fine tune their campaigns when they come in the door here. So sometimes I'll get a contractor that'll come in and talk about, hey, can you hit this entire county? Hey, can I give you 20 zip codes to focus on? And the strength, especially when you're going to invest the money into a strong telemarketing campaign, you want to be able to customize it to maximize those returns. So Jason, you know, we'll allow them to really pinpoint whether it's a Hale map or even giving us addresses to say, hey, here's 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 addresses, go a mile or 2 outside. Last year, we allowed contractors, especially on the commercial side, to create a hit list. That's been an amazing return. You know, so they got their sales team out and about and they see a 3-tab apartment complex or a church that's beat up. They can go ahead and say, Jack, here's 3 or 4 people within our hit list. Get your team on that, open up those doors of opportunity and really create those opportunities to come in from so many different directions than what they're typically accustomed to.
Good. Nice.
Yeah. So you really, Jason, just being involved, right? Don't kick off a campaign and say, hey, go get me these zip codes. Get involved. talk daily. If there's an area that doesn't have the squares and damage that you want, don't let the call center keep dialing that area. Get in touch with them. Let them know, hey, let's stay away from this area and let's get more focused on these areas that have the squares and damage that we want.
Sounds good.
Hey, Jeff, you got some questions?
Yeah, so Jack, obviously as the CRM provider, what we typically see from our clients is as you're taking that lead, walking it through that process. So obviously there's multiple touches involved typically. Having that seamless workflow, I was excited to talk to you at Win the Storm event, SVG's event this year, and talking about the integration that we're looking to add so that those leads seamlessly go into the CRM, and then you can build the rules and kind of manage it. How successful and how do you see customers go through as far as that follow-up, the handoff from you to your client, and then managing to take that and move it through their process?
Another great question, Jeff. And, we're excited. We're going to be doing some affiliate partnerships with GiddyUp as well. And, that's going to complement kind of, Jason, what you said. So how can contractors maximize any type of campaign? And if they don't have the technology to back it up, that they can distribute properly, they're just going to hurt themselves. So, for us, I'd say about 80% of our clients use some form of CRM. And, our technology allows us to input right from our agent. We assign it to their leadership team who sends it out. But it allows just more fluid communication so that, even when a rep goes out and wants to communicate back to us what happened or to focus more in an area, it allows that to be more seamless.
Great.
Yeah. So, if someone's not using a CRM, they got to get on it because, the fact that some people want us to send a PDF that they want to enter it into some system, those days are over. There's just so many great solutions from a technology standpoint, and they got to get connected with someone.
Makes sense.
And Jack, you and I have been friends for a long, long time. We've seen the trend from, the 1 and 2 call centers to the 30 and 40 call centers that are just pounding that list. The people do not have, home phones much anymore. How are you overcoming that? I know that I've got another question I want to ask, but, you bringing up deleting the list really quickly, like the Chicago storm, that's going to be done in a week or so. One, it's the first good storm of the year, and 2, it's a major metropolitan area that everybody wants to work.
Sure.
How do you overcome the no home phone solution in today's market of telemarketing?
So it's been a learning curve for us as well, Nathan. Throughout the years, even throwing the DNC, right, which took such a strong population of these numbers out,
Sure.
You got to be creative. So, not sure about other call centers, but we invest a lot of money into different data sources. So
Sure.
you buy your traditional data that's going to have your home numbers, but in today's market, you got to buy cell phone data. So, we use 3 or 4 different sources that allow us to open up those opportunities early on. If a call center is not doing that, you're going to just be swamped with elderly prospects.
Right.
You look at the profile of someone that still has a home phone number, it's not you and I.
Right.
If you don't have those other resources to get creative with that data, you're just really putting limitations on, the audience that you reach.
Yeah, and that brings up a good point. In those contractors that are calling the only calling the home phones, those guys are probably, in order to get their numbers, do you think, I know what your answer is going to be about you, but do you think the big industry failure is the guys that are selling to multiple contractors that same lead? From a call center?
I think selling the same lead is one aspect, but I think the bigger piece, Nathan, and it impacts even canvassing, is call centers that don't respect the residential data. And what I mean by that is typical protocol is you potentially call someone once at night. If it's a new storm, go ahead, roll the dice and throw that second time to reach them in the evening if you didn't get them that first run.
Yeah.
But when you hear about, a homeowner telling you an hour after the storm that they got 30, 40 phone calls, There's call centers, unfortunately, that take advantage of the data that they have available to them. And a lot of that is, again, there's only so much, right? You know, Evanston in Illinois got pounded last night. And, you know, we probably had 50 contractors today asking us about Evanston. Well, by the time you scrub that data, even when you put cell phone data in there, it's a couple thousand records. You know, I can go through a couple thousand records, you know, in 45 minutes if I put 7, 8 agents on it. So, you know, they gotta understand that it's not just the call center element that gets impacted by it. It's as you go out and we get back out of this no contact and people are out door knocking again, man, it's someone doesn't want to talk to you after they just received 40 phone calls after a fresh storm.
Right. And, you know, when I had my roofing company, we would, you know, we used you for sure. You know, you remember that. And, you know, we had great luck with it, but we used it as a tool to get into the neighborhood, you know, and then we would 6-pack around that lead. You know, you'd get us in a neighborhood that, you know, maybe was off the hail map a little bit, or maybe in an area that we didn't know had been hugely impacted. We got on and, you know, sold the lead that you got us, and then we'd go and knock around that lead. And, you know, I think that's a key to what Jason's question was. How do you maximize that you know, that campaign?
Sure. And so we do a lot of consulting with that as well to our clients and just contractors in general. So the purpose of any lead generation program isn't to replace what their current efforts are, Nathan, just as you said, right? It's to complement it and create better opportunities, even if they don't get the lead. If they go see Mary Johnson and unfortunately she doesn't go with them, those sales team has the ability to go door knock the rest of the areas to say, hey, I was at Mary's house just down the street. And we would hear way too often about a sales rep for an individual company that would go on our lead, hop in the car afterwards, and go back to the office.
Right.
And so, you know, leadership teams among, you know, contractors, whether it's here in Chicago or nationwide, you know, really do a good job on what you said, just maximizing that opportunity. And even today, you know, our phone's been going since 3 a.m., you know, with these leads that came in from the storms last night.
Yep.
I'm here. I'm there. And it's the same thing. You know, we're coaching them to say, hey, listen, even if I get you in a gated community that you get 2 or 3 leads today, you're going to turn those 2 or 3 leads into 10, 15 different sales opportunities if you're doing your role correctly.
Exactly. And that's where coming up, you know, going to transition to a CRM solution, you know, GiddyUp or, you know, some of the others have a solution for canvassing. I know GiddyUp has a canvassing tool. So, you know, you put the lead in there, it now targets around that. They now switch over to the canvassing app after they've done their inspection, and now they've got more pinpoint data.
And GiddyUp is an absolute outstanding solution. And there's so many, you know, that complement not just the CRM, right? Even when I'll go back to HailTrace again, you know, their maps, right? That includes that opportunity to really maximize those homes in that neighboring community as well. GiddyUp, you know, Jeff, you and I spoke this morning. That technology that you offer is outstanding.
So I think the thing that excites me most about it, and just hearing this conversation, you know, we pride ourselves of fitting the software to the company, not the company to the software. We're all about the process and creating those workflows. And I think when you think of a call center, you think of that as that initial lead or that initial workflow for starting that lead. And, you know, maybe the right answer is, as we look at those, you know, different customers have different approaches. So those workflows that you're presenting, that I think is just one workflow in there. But if all of a sudden you land a customer, then maybe having you call all the homes around them, or, you know, different scenarios. That's what I like, being able to implement those in GiddyUp to kind of tailor that solution. I think that's where some of the things that we're talking about will be so powerful for the contractors.
And Jeff, the other side of that is, you know, even when they're doing a build, so you contractors out there that are utilizing a call center, when you start to do a build and you have that relationship inside the CRM that you're letting your call center be able to communicate, we have plenty of contractors that will tag us on an address that they're building for the day. I'll pull data in that neighborhood and be able to call Nathan and say, hey, Nathan, we're doing the house right down the street from you. You know, we'd love to be able to stop over afterwards and take a look at your property.
Yep.
So that CRM, Jeff, really gives so much different pathways to maximize that campaign.
Yeah, no, I love it. Can't wait to get that released.
Absolutely.
If I can circle back around real quick, kind of piggyback off my original question, Jack, one of the things I was wondering when you were talking about, getting people out there to appointments and whatnot is, and of course, adapting as you have over these years to the changing trends in your industry. How do you overcome objections, especially like today, some of the stuff that our focus is, marketing for the new reality and things that are going on today?
Sure. So, I did a segment. Let me get this out there. I'm sorry. So we did a segment 2 days ago, and it was exactly that question, Bill. So, how do you maximize in today's world, not just the no contact, right? But just the, overbearing that these homeowners and commercial properties get. And so internally here, we do so much coaching. It's really a daily routine that we're talking about. We're not selling anything, right? We're not going to over push a free inspection. We're going to bring value. So I want 2 or 3 or 4 bullet points. If someone's been serving the community for the last 20 years, that's going to be a focal point, Bill. When they call you up, they're letting you know, Mr. Hicks, we're with ABC Construction. We've been serving the community here for the last 20 years. We have an amazing reputation with the insurance companies. And so now when we let them know that we're getting others approved in the community and we want to come inspect yours to be able to do the same thing, now you have a homeowner or a pastor of a church that gets excited about the appointment. To the contrary, if I'm just going to be, hey, it's free, it's no cost, there's not even any obligation, Mr. Hicks, well, there's no value. I'm just a glorified, door hanger at that point.
Right.
So to answer your question, it's just about bringing urgency and value into every phone call. And especially when they're receiving the volume of calls that they get, if we don't do that, you have 18 seconds to deserve another 18 seconds to keep talking. So I got to get their attention right away by creating that value up front.
So Jack, one of the things that you mentioned is, we all know about all the telemarketing laws and the do not call lists. Obviously, you do it the right way, right? And maybe
Sure.
as contractors are going through and looking at launching that telemarketing campaign, there's a lot of risk associated with going through and doing it the right way. Can you maybe talk about your experience there and how leveraging somebody like you would help them get started?
Well, so again, we're blessed that we dial for, take the top 50 contractors in our industry. We dial for 45, 46, 47 of them. So when you got the companies like Crest and CMR and so many companies that work so diligently on branding their company name, I'm telling them all the time, whether they choose us as a call center or they go elsewhere, they got to be sensitive to whoever they choose. As soon as they pick up that phone and they hear, "Hi, this is Jack from ABC," I'm ABC, right? And now what you just said as well, any obligation or any type of DNC violations, they're not going after the call center, they're going after the contractor. They'll eventually go after that call center, but if they're not here in the country, which majority of them unfortunately are not, they're going to spend their efforts going on, investigating, hey, who is that contractor and how do we stop this from happening? So, make sure that it's someone that, if the owner of that contractor was sitting behind them, listening to that agent, we coach our agents all the time, for a wow factor. And, simply defined as, I want that owner, for him or her, to listen to that call and say, "Oh my God, that was amazing." And the compliance side of it, that, that we're exceeding expectations and not putting contractors at risk.
Yep.
And that brings up a good point, Jack. There's lots of people out there that are in other countries, and there's nothing wrong with using them to leverage your call center space. But, there's a big advantage to having a United States call center in my eyes. One, you're never going to have to worry about, if somebody says something incorrectly, getting the federal lines thing going. because
Sure.
from what I remember from call center, if you said certain things that broke the FCC guidelines, you could get in some liable trouble if it was over certain state lines or over country lines. So that's one advantage, to having somebody that understands the laws and having somebody that knows how everything works, being in business for a long time. The big advantage for me when I was searching call centers is, one, build that relationship with the person. The owner of the roofing or the call center, that's who your relationships with, or your account manager, for instance. So build that relationship. Somebody that's going to answer the phone call, when the hail hits. Hey, I want to throw this going. Not have to, try and search for it at this point of the game. If you wanted to go to Rockford, Illinois, you're not going to get a campaign, because you're not if somebody called you today and said, hey, I want to go to Rockford, you've already got that full. You can't.
Most markets, especially the Colorados, Illinois,
Yep.
We're sold out in those markets.
Yeah.
But again, it goes with what you just said, Nathan. It's being sensitive and understanding from a contractor of not just the liability, but what we just spoke about a minute ago. Don't lower you work so hard at making that name for yourself in your communities and that branding. You want someone that's going to exceed those expectations, not represent you in a way that you would never allow within your own office.
Correct. But what I was trying to fill to is, make that connection. Reach out to Jack today. Call you today, because there might be a storm somewhere in Ohio that you're not sold out in. And if they're a client, they get first billing compared to somebody that calls you right after the hailstorm.
Yeah, and it hurts because, today, like I said, I've had to unfortunately turn down about 50 contractors from the storms last night. And we're grateful for the customers that, pre-purchased and been with us for the last couple of years. But I'll tell you, beyond residential, Nathan, these contractors that are either currently doing commercial or trying to get into that market.
Yeah.
In 2018, our contractors did 37 million from the leads we did. Last year, they did 107 million. And so, the power behind that is a lot of these call centers that aren't here in the States, even though they might kind of take advantage of some of these commercial or residential data, they have a hard time getting through that gatekeeper on the commercial side.
Sure.
So we do a phenomenal job. And, contractors, when they create those hit lists, whether they're doing them internally at your own office or use a call center like myself, out of that 107 million last year, almost 40% of those numbers came from hit list.
Yeah.
So having that ability to have your sales team not only use a SWAT, but be able to say, get me that church, get me that property management company, get me that flat roof. And our teams do such a phenomenal job at opening up those opportunities.
I feel like it's such a great opportunity. You help people expand into another area, like commercial. And, from our point of view at Labor Connect, we feel the same way because we help people expand into other areas like commercial. Regularly, somebody might have a commercial pop into their lap and not be able to build it. And so it comes in that same way. You help people go into commercial. And
I appreciate that. And it's all of us. So it's all of us in this group. And it's why I was excited to get on here. In today's market, it's just about helping people, right? That's the theme, is how do you make a positive difference and help people out, right? And we do that from every aspect. And I know everyone on this call right now does the same. And it's a privilege to be able to do that for, not only our clients, but just contractors in general that we get to talk to every day.
Yep.
Absolutely.
So I have another question for you, Jack. What are your contractors, what's their return on investment been over the past couple years?
We did a survey last year, average contractor, and some might inflate their numbers and some don't want to put reality because they don't want, knowing that I made $1 million off of that, $25,000 investment. But the feedback that we got, it was almost $10 in profit for every dollar they put in. So again, when we educate contractors that call me up and say, hey, what's the best deal you can get me? What's the lowest price per lead? Well, you can buy leads for $65 a lead. They're all over the place. We bill $200 on residential, but I can say with confidence that the return of investment will be 5, 10-fold what anything they've ever experienced before. And the reason for it, Jason, you know, people say, well, why? Why is it so different? Well, it's that philosophy that we have about, you know, quality leads. It's not about replacing a lead that doesn't meet expectations. It's about wasting the time of a contractor to drive 30 minutes to go somewhere and the person wasn't expecting them or didn't even know. I never set up that appointment, you know, or a church that someone's spending all this money on. They get there and the pastor's like, I just had that roof replaced, you know, 7 months ago. So, you know, our agents do such a great job at understanding the value of not wasting a contractor's time, deliver quality leads that are going to deliver the ROI, Jason, that you're talking about.
Hey, fellas, it's about time to wrap it up. We have any other questions, or Jack, do you have anything else that you want to get out there before we end this webinar?
No, just again, it's a privilege to be on here. I'm grateful for that. Message to contractors, whether you're a client or not, even if you're trying to get an internal team going, I give my cell number out. It's all over the web, but it's 847-456-0722. Hit me up on Facebook, and love to chat with you about how we can help you even get into that commercial world and make this 2020 a record season.
Jack, thank you so much, Jack, for coming on, and I greatly appreciate you being part of this.
Yeah.
And it's been a pleasure being a friend of yours.
Real fast, you know, we didn't touch about the no contact, right? And I think that's important. And we're seeing a lot of contractors that are moving into that, even on their websites, talking about, hey, listen, we have a no contact opportunity to come out there, inspect your roof using, you know, different technology out there to do everything electronically.
For sure.
So contractors don't have that. Make sure you're offering it, especially while we're in the chapter that we're in. If you need help with that, you know, any one of us on this can help them do that as well.
Exactly. Reach out to any of us.
Yeah.
So, but thank you again. It's been a privilege, and we're excited for a fun year.
Sounds great. Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
We're going to talk about next week real quick. So next week, our guest will be David Furtado of Furtado Law PC. So he's going to be going over legalities, what you should and shouldn't have in your marketing material. So later on, you're not getting in trouble with the authorities, and also what you should and shouldn't have in your contracts. And if you have any questions for him, leave us a question in the group chat.
Awesome.
Thank you, Jason. Have a great day, everybody.
I look forward to a headlock soon from you, buddy.
Sounds good, my friend.
Good.
Hey, thank you guys. Appreciate it.
You guys.
Everyone have an awesome day. Stay healthy.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.